In just over a month, students will be getting ready to go back to school in person after a year for many of learning online or in person with masks.
But some concern is raised for students that struggle to keep up with learning at home. As NTV's Lauryn Bentley tells us tonight, there's a way moms and dads can help.
Researchers are calling it the COVID learning gap. This coming from a year where students and teachers were separated and learning was done through a computer screen. 11-year-old Kale Nebezniak says learning online wasn't easy.
Things that we were new to learning and you couldn't just ask questions. It made it hard because if you didn't get something, you were just on your own path. You had no idea what to do.
And he says the hardest part about online learning was
mostly just understanding, because you can't just raise your hand and ask normal questions, because how we did it, we just like moved through it and then maybe questions at the end, but it was not very easy.
On the other side, Chris Kampovitz, a former teacher for Kearney Public Schools, says teaching this past year was difficult.
After 23 years, never done anything like that. It was kind of like we were building the plane as we were going.
The hardships for both students and teachers now raises concern in the education field on how much students retained while learning online. Kale's mom, Amy Nebezniak, an associate professor at UNK, says this issue is now deemed as the COVID learning gap.
And there's already an achievement gap between students in our community and all communities. And when certain students were affected more greatly by COVID, then they are going to fall even further behind. So that increases the gap between our achieving students and those that are below achieving.
She says it differs from student to student based on their resources at home.
Some may have parents that were able to help them with mathematics or reading, and some may not, which increased that achievement gap between students even greater.
And Kampovitz says being in person is a crucial part of the teaching process.
And how do you teach someone to read through Zoom when you can't see their eyes, when you can't see their fingers, when you need to model for them? You know, it is really difficult. I mean, we just did the best that we absolutely could.
But what if you don't know if your child falls in this learning gap? Nebezniak says the best way to figure it out is to talk to your child's teacher.
We have great educators in this community that will be willing and happy to help your student and help give suggestions on how to help your student.
And Kale has advice too for students in his same position, getting ready to gear up for the school year.
Just listen all the time. It's easy.
Reporting in Kearney, I'm Lauryn Bentley.